Good morning, everyone. Welcome. We're out winter camping. I figured it was a good time of the year to start going winter camping. Maybe this I'll get in a good position here. Who knows? Maybe this will be one of the last streams. No, I think we'll do. I won't be around next weekend to do a stream. Normally we would do a Twitch stream next weekend, but I'll be visiting some family. Probably. Of course, things are all up in the air right now because of, yeah, I mean, we're going through, I know a lot of people, a lot of viewers are in places that are going to be in lockdowns coming up, or you're in a place where it's just the pandemic might be out of control again right now. It's happening. And so, yeah, we work with these things. We work with the environments in which we find ourselves. And that's what doing things we value and taking care of our mental health is always about. It's not about telling ourselves things are going to go well or just waiting for things to go well. It's doing things we value is always about looking at the context in which we find ourselves and making choices that are best for ourselves and those around us. Pom Pom Kitty, Rithik, welcome. Hello. Good morning. Now I know it is. There's also the fact, yeah, it's winter camping season here. It's very snowy out here, but to our friends in Brazil, our friends in Australia, I know it's barbecue season. So I hope you're outside enjoying things. Neon Purple, hello. Victor, welcome, everybody. I have a question up here from last time, but yeah, we can get into new topics, explore adventures to do with taking care of our brains and our mental health and fitness. Always important, but perhaps even more important right now, not just because of all of the uncertainty in the world, but because for many people, I know it's a kind of holiday season, and the holiday season is always one of the most challenging times for people because they tackle one of the most major, biggest, extremist pro skills in taking care of your mental fitness, which is spending time with family. Super. Oh, yeah, you got to have real skills to do that. Squidge, hello. Adam, hey, how's it going, everybody? Oh, Raccoon, I, I appreciate you coming to join us. Of course, I could do this every Sunday, and nobody could show up. So no, thank you for joining us and being here. Bagel, bagel, bagel. I had a bagel this morning. I had a breakfast bagel. It was delicious. Thank you for coming to represent the bagel contingent. Said you're getting a booster tomorrow. Congratulations. Yeah, like you said, yeah, there totally can be bad symptoms, the kind of uncomfortable experiences when we get our booster. That's nice of you to be packing meals for yourself. With a broken sink, you're filling buckets. No, enjoy. Be kind to yourself as you navigate all of those. Because I think that's part of it, right? Like so often things aren't working the way we want them to, or yeah, the way like we'd say they should. But yeah, exactly. Bagel, bagel, bagel. As you said there, it's just about carrying water and chopping wood, and so we can do these things. And these things aren't barriers or problems. They like that's how we're living our life. That is our life, and we can enjoy that and be present there, and eat bagels. Silent spaces, welcome. Riffic, yeah, yes. How does Canada look like and feel like at this time of the year? I was just out for a walk this morning, and it's very cold here. It does kind of look like this. I don't know, like back up, you can see it does look like this outside right now. If you go on my Instagram channel, the story I shared to send people over to the live here on YouTube today, that's a picture I just took this morning, where you see the road is just covered in snow. The sidewalk was very slippery this morning, but it's always so enjoyable. I was gonna meditate this morning. I had it in my calendar. I was going to do that, but then I decided to take a mindful walk, and so it's always so enjoyable to just be present while walking in a snowy, icy morning. Be present with the sounds, and everything looks so different, and it's so bright. So it's quite beautiful, but also it could be, yeah. It really helps to be present on a morning like today because there were multiple times where it's quite hilly around where I live, and so it was very slippery. It was useful to be present. Gradually, yes, our thoughts neutral. Aren't some bad and some good? No, we thoughts are thoughts. Like they are just there, and then we do the compulsions to run around labeling thoughts. So no, that's actually a thing we do. Yeah, thoughts just exist, and that's it's so useful to recognize that intrusive thoughts are compulsions. So let's get this up here as our first question. This is a really important concept to grasp, and I think one that a lot of people maybe don't talk about them this way, but it's so useful to recognize it. Um, Intrusive thoughts are compulsions. And so when you ask, are thoughts neutral or some not good and some bad? Of course, you realize that lots of people obsess about different, what they might call themes, or they'll struggle with anxieties around different topics. And those vary because each person will have a different set of beliefs, things they've learned, and things they try to control because they, through their experiences, maybe they've had a traumatic experience with something, they now judge that as bad or dangerous. So they go, this is a bad thing, I have to control it. But then somebody else might have the exact same thought or might be in the exact same situation, but because they're not judging it as dangerous or judging it as bad or judging it as a thing that shouldn't be there, they're not going to start doing compulsions around it. They're not going to see that as a theme or an obsession or a problem. So it's really useful to recognize, oh, like this stuff, the anxiety doesn't come from the thought. The anxiety doesn't come from the uncertainty. The anxiety comes from the stuff we do to it. And that's why, yeah, two people could have the exact same thoughts, but only one person might get anxious and upset about it. And so it's really useful to recognize that stuff we do because we can change that. So how would I describe this? Yeah, it's intrusive thoughts are compulsion based on different experiences, beliefs, and judgments will each interact differently with different thoughts. It's how we interact with the thought that creates possible challenges. Because, of course, we don't have to interact with it in a way that creates challenges, but we could. There are options. Jackie, there is a stream. Welcome. Oh, bagel, bagel, bagel. Yes, that's sound of the snow falling onto more snow from a tree. There is that like really interesting, quiet thud that it's snow falling on snow. Ah, Squid, yeah, great point. You said, can you talk more about pro skills with family? I think it'd be useful for everyone. It is an important time to talk about this. I know this is something that I had to work on, and it's a great transition from talking about intrusive thoughts and things we want to control and the past. So let's go. Interacting with family is a pro skill, and it seems that part of the reason for that is, I mean, we've spent so much time with family, so we and it does seem that the brain has a special, and this probably makes sense evolutionarily, has a special place for our family. That when our family does things, we're more sensitive to it. If we see a family member doing a compulsion that we've cut out, we might feel more pressure to also do that compulsion. Whereas if somebody else did it, we'd be like, oh, that poor person. Good thing I've cut out that compulsion. But for some reason, family, it really puts a lot of pressure on us. So especially when people are working on recovery, family can be a more sensitive situation, or more, I guess I'm trying to say, like, more easily, we may notice that we feel like we're in a really good place, but then we go hang out with family, it's like boom, we just start doing these compulsions again, because we're around family members who are doing them, or family members who pressure us to do them. Often we learned a lot of our compulsions from family, so that's part of it. It's a pro skill because you're actually stepping into an area where you're going to potentially see a lot of pressure to do compulsions, or you're around people who think those compulsions are really good, and they want you to provide reassurance and relief for them. And of course, they're not going to be able to get it, so they're going to want more and more and more and more reassurance from you. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Family, so let's put that up there. Family can want us to do lots of compulsions to relieve their uncertainties and give them a sense of control. That's one thing. I think so. Part of that is, and why I say it's a pro skill, is it's really useful to learn how to step into a situation and not get caught up in doing compulsions. So a situation where other people are doing compulsions or want us to do them, and be like, yeah, I don't have to do that. So setting boundaries is very useful. But of course, setting boundaries is challenging, especially with family, because we may really care about them. Or somebody else, we may have no problem setting a boundary because we're like, if you don't like it, there's the door. But with family, of course, we're like, oh, I'm gonna see this person again, maybe. But you may be more nervous about setting boundaries with family. So setting boundaries is very useful, but of course, we may worry about that. We may try to control others' emotions more with family, or try to control what they think about us. So I find it was really useful for me to just explore stepping into all sorts of relationships and practicing being myself, practicing setting boundaries, and helping people along on that. I think one of the important things to recognize when we make changes in our lives is that other people had a different idea of us, even if that idea of us involved us doing lots of compulsions. Even if they have this idea of us as somebody, really wrapped up in our old habits, and now we're changing that. But for them, their impression of us is still that old one, and so we're creating uncertainty for them when we start to do healthy things. Even though we can say that's great, but we've just created this uncertainty for them because they're like, oh, well, this person is this way. Why are they doing things a different way? So it is also up to us to help people along on that. To recognize, you know what, if I'm making changes, even though they're really helpful for me, I am creating this uncertainty for somebody else. I'm gonna help them along on that journey with me, because otherwise they're gonna be putting that pressure on us to go back to being this old way they used to see us. So that's one of the ways you can make it easier. Just recognizing, hey, when you go and spend time with family, they're going to have a different idea of you. So how can you help bring everybody in that new direction? At the same time, recognizing you don't control them and they may not want to come along with you. And then we've got to be okay with that. We can step into that experience, give what we want to give, and step out. And we don't have to control it. We don't have to make anybody think things about us or make them think differently. So I'm sure we'll come back to the family as we continue. But I'll wish everybody now, if you're spending time with family over the holidays, much kindness to yourself and to your families. Raccoon, that's a question there. You said how to become self-aware without worrying too much about yourself. Can you tell me what does self-aware mean? Does it just mean looking in the mirror and being like, that is me? Yeah, what do you think self awareness means? Joshi said, I've been struggling a bit with an earworm this week. Been trying to align with my values, but the brain keeps pulling me back in. Oh, Graham, welcome. It's good to see you. How? So the question I always find really useful to look at there is, how does the brain keep pulling you back in? And that's where there's something to start to unpack. How does it pull you into that? Another thing I'd look at too right now is, so with an earworm, are there any other things where you can see a similar pattern? So are there any other areas where you can practice allowing a thing to be there, saying, look, I don't have to fix this. This can just be there. I want it to be there. I want to bring it with me. So if it's there, it's no problem. It's just like if I'm walking down the street and I see a tree, or I see 20 trees, or there's a tree every block, or 10 trees every block. We don't go, oh, like, why are they here again? So looking at how do you make it like a tree. So yeah, some more exploring to do that. Little Miss Beats Extermination, welcome. See, ask a question there. What's your advice on dealing with injuries? I mean, I don't know what the particular injury is, but in general, like just in a general sense, yeah, like there's often times where things get injured and hurt. Things don't work the way we want them to, and so doing things we value is always about looking at that context. So if something doesn't work the way we want it to, we're going to create a lot of struggle for ourselves if we're like, oh, this should work differently. So a lot like we were just talking about there with the earworm. It's really useful to approach an earworm just like we would some kind of recurring pain from an injury. So, for example, right now I have kind of like an arm. I don't know what you call it. It's the from doing too many pull-ups and curls. My right arm right now is kind of there's kind of like a tendon inflamed. Like I can feel it if I bend my arm in a particular way right now. And so I know that's just a sign. Oh, I've been doing the same thing too much. So I don't go, oh, like it shouldn't be here. Now, oh, I can't just do bicep curls. No, I recognize it. I'm like, oh, so let's just do something else. And not see it as a problem, because then that creates all sorts of struggle. So yeah, it's and actually, yeah, Graham, the you asking about the earworm there, a great teacher around this stuff is pain from repetitive injuries. So how would you approach, yeah, like a tendon inflamed or something like that? So okay, and I think like right now when I'm using my mouse, it's probably also partly because I've been doing a lot of work on my computer. So right now I'll feel it when I'm using my mouse, and it's okay for it to be there. Right. So how would you approach something like a physical injury that's just kind of there, and you're aware of it? Maxwell, thank you so much for the donation. I really appreciate the support. Oh, and the gift. Thank you for being you. I appreciate you supporting me being me. Thanks a lot. Chris, could you explain how worrying is a compulsion? Is it a controlling compulsion? I'd like to build better skills to stop focusing so much on things that worry me. Yeah, like you said, there are so often. Let's get this one up here. So often, worrying is, yeah, a controlling compulsion. We might be, but really, it can cover all of them. We might be checking things, and like that's kind of what's happening in the worrying. But we might also be using it as a coping compulsion. Like we want to feel like we've worried enough, and then we're gonna feel better. Oh, I worried, and therefore this is okay now, and I'm gonna get rid of this feeling. But really, it's useful to just let the uncertainty be there. How is worrying a compulsion? One of the things I like to look at that really helped me was just trying to look at time and energy. Time and energy, and just very generally, control. So if there's something I'm worrying about, yeah, maybe it is really important to me. What I've got to look at though right away is that just spending that time worrying isn't actually doing anything. And so if this really is an important topic to do something about, I need to actually do something. Do something, and not do something to check on it, but do something to actually build what I want to build or grow what I want to grow. So I'm going to do something that gives. So if I'm saying, hey, this is a real issue, okay, well, what am I going to, instead of spending time worrying about it right now, what am I going to do to build and grow something that's useful? So, uh, so let's say I always look at control. Right? So very generally, what do I actually control here? And I have what I call a bias to action, which is what I was just describing there. Have a bias to action. So that's instead of spending time just worrying, I'd rather give that time and energy to actually growing and building something. So, for example, somebody might spend a lot of time worrying about money, and it can be really stressful and exhausting. But worrying about money, even though we might feel like that's somehow keeping us safe, or because we're worrying about money, we're going to be better with money. But actually, if we shift the focus to, okay, well, how do I grow a healthy business? How do I use my finances well? Uh, we'll actually cover taking care of our money, but we'll actually be taking care of ourselves in a proactive way that's going to put us in a better financial position. So it's actually taking that time we would have spent worrying about money and putting it towards actually doing things that are going to care for our financial health, and generate more money. So really looking at things that way. Worrying, the brain loves to worry, right? So it's going to throw up those uncertainties. And then it's really about seeing that if we spend time and energy on it, that's where the compulsion comes in. So yeah, and that's why I was saying it's a coping compulsion too. Like we can be uncomfortable, like we can be worried about something, in a relationship or something like that. There's going to be a lot of uncertainty. It's okay for that uncertainty to be there. We don't have to get rid of it. I think that, going back to what we were talking about before with judging thoughts, like that's where it becomes a problem, where because the brain is just calling out, hey, there's a lot of uncertainty in this relationship. You don't know how you really feel. The brain is just telling us a fact. And we can just be like, yeah, that's true. I don't know how I feel. And we can go and do something. We can go and, yeah, again, build the relationship. We can go and plan a date, not go, ooh, until I know how I feel, I don't want to like go on a date or do something more meaningful or do something special. Cause like, what if they then think I really like them, but then actually I don't, and then they'll be hurt. Oh no. And then we spend so much time in our head, the relationship does fall apart. So yeah, really looking at saying, hey, yeah, of course I don't know. What am I going to go and do? What am I going to go and build? Jorge, yes. When you say let thoughts be, do you let the thoughts play in your mind, but you're focused on what you want to do, or do you focus on what you're doing so much that your mind quiets down? So I would say it's useful to make both okay, but the thing we're working towards is the second one. Like when I was describing going for a walk, a mindful walk earlier, my brain is not doing stuff. Like we are listening to the sound of snow under my boots. Uh, I'm seeing like a thick layer of snow on the evergreen trees. That's it. And it's really like when people say when thoughts, like just letting thoughts play, like you don't have to do that. It can be quiet. Just like you don't have to talk to yourself while you're out walking. You could, but you don't have to. So I found meditation most useful for learning how to shut up the brain, and learning how to do it in a way that's not like, oh, you're fighting with the brain. Of course, if it throws up a thought, oh, that's fine. That's what it does. But yeah, when I'm walking, I want to walk. Uh, if I'm making food, I want to make food. If I'm shitting on the toilet, just shitting on the toilet is fine. Just one thing is fine. We don't have to do so much work all the time. Rithvik said, I feel like I keep going back to my coping compulsions and they feel so important to me that I'm unable to make that transition into values. So I'd say right there is the, like, you are able to do it. But you actually see there, one of the reasons we stick with compulsions is because we like them. And so, yeah, we say like the compulsions we like fuel the obsessions we hate. And yeah, if we want to start taking care of our mental health, it's about starting to see that things we tell ourselves we like, we actually don't like. Because so in my book, and You Are Not a Rock or the Mind Workout, the example I use there is somebody who says they like jumping in the swimming pool, but they hate getting wet. And so we can't say, oh, like, I really like these compulsions. Oh, I hate anxiety and intrusive thoughts. No, because the compulsions are the cause of the anxiety and intrusive thoughts. So if we like keeping the coping compulsions, then we can't be surprised that the brain just keeps throwing up more stuff to cope with. And so it's useful to start to connect those two together. In the same way, if somebody told us, oh, I love jumping in the water, but I hate getting wet, we'd be like, how do you separate those two? But so often with compulsions, we have separated them. We're like, oh, no, I like those compulsions. Oh, but I hate these results of the compulsions. And we've got to start to connect them together. Victor said, I'm noticing myself worried about eating like 2 eggs or oily food, and then I start obsessing about that. Is it healthy or not? How to not overthink things like that. Well, yeah, just in general, like you start to see how trying to get things right or trying to, control whatever you're trying to control there can quickly turn into a compulsion. So yeah, starting to see like it's not going to be a compulsion that's isolated just to that stuff. Um, and so yeah, just like recognizing that that's a compulsion and starting to cut it out. Like it's gonna be up to you cutting it out. Part of that might be looking at whatever it is you're trying to control. Right. So like what's wrong with eating 2 eggs, or what's wrong with eating oily food? Like what's the fear there? Or what's the thing you're trying to control? And there you may find things you think you want to chase after. And that'll be an opportunity to make some changes. I just ate eggs this morning. It was on my breakfast bagel. Because yeah, in the past I couldn't eat eggs. So it is good to eat eggs now. Marar Amar. The scariest moments for me are the declaration moments when you're struggling and you say, this is going to bother me the rest of my life. What is the healthy move to not create those declarations? It's useful to see. Like, it's great you see it, right? The stories we tell ourselves about ourselves create so much struggle and suffering. So I mean, you see it there. What I actually find is at first, because at first we do believe I'm going to be stuck with this forever. And so you see that fear there. It actually helped me at first to tell myself, yeah, like fine, I'll be stuck with it forever. There is a video on my YouTube channel here, and I'll just type it in down here. I'll move my coffee. If you look up the happiness in isolation exercise, there's a video on it. And that's really an exercise for starting to tackle stuff like this. And so you picture yourself like really being trapped in whatever that worst possible situation is for you. And it's about starting to explore, okay, well actually, so that could happen. Let's say it's gonna happen. And I'm going to learn how to be happy in that situation. And in that exploration, we see all the compulsions we're doing. And then as you unpack that, I find then you can start to not tell those stories. Something that's really key with this is looking at the stories you tell yourself about yourself that you'd see as good, because they're the same thing, right? If we're telling our brain, for instance, oh, I've solved recovery and now I'm gonna have perfect mental health forever, and that is good. That teaches the brain that being stuck with a bad thing is bad, though, right? Or if something is going to make your mental health not perfect, that's going to be bad, and then your perfect thing is going to be ruined. So really recognize that celebrating a good thing lasting forever is the exact same cookie as being afraid of a bad thing lasting forever. And so as long as you hold on to one, you're also going to get the other. And so learning how to let go of both of those is key. Yeah, raccoon. So you're going on about oh, and so this is perfect. Raccoon, you explained about self-awareness and then you asked about sensory motor OCD. So it's really going to help to see that they are the same thing going on here. So you said, but maybe sometimes I think about the elements too much of like self awareness is the elements about yourself. So how to still know yourself, react to critics, but not worry too much. So the reason I say that sensory motor OCD is the same is because it's wanting a certainty around ourselves. And if we were chasing this, like, I need to have certainty on how I feel and who I am and etc., of course, we're going to create a lot of uncertainty around that. We're going to need to be checking it all the time and getting it right. So it could really help to start to see those as the same. That desire to chase that perfect certainty about the self is naturally going to create uncertainty about who you are, uncertainty about values, uncertainty about your physical self, about reality, the depersonalization, derealization, etc. There's also a whole bunch of health anxiety obsessions that tend to go along with that. I don't know if you've struggled with those before, so I won't go into more detail about them so they don't blossom out of that. But there's this whole set of obsessions and compulsions around the self. And yeah, if we chase them and we want that certainty, then of course we just get lots of uncertainty. So it really helped me to approach the self as an exploration. The self is something we explore and create. We're not going to find a list of defining attributes hidden behind our spleens. So if we said, how do you get certainty about the self? I would say we do not. We do not. And chasing it will naturally create lots of uncertainty, sensory motor compulsions, health anxieties, etc. It helped me to see the self as an exploration. There's so many possibilities. I am a wilderness. I get to explore and then choose my favorite paths. And then choose my, how would I describe it? Choose my favorite paths I take through the wilderness. Because there are so many elements in ourselves. And we can explore them and understand them and also leave them. That there is like so much potential, right? You have so much potential to be who you want to be. And that's what that kind of favorite path is through the wilderness. And it's then we take that path repeatedly and we get to know it better and better and better. But you could just as easily take a different path and get to know that really well and be an expert in that other path through the wilderness of you. Approaching it as an exploration rather than like what are like who am I must know who I am. Here are the defining characteristics of me. Because the other reason it's useful to see it as a wilderness is that as you go through the wilderness, the terrain will change. So, yep, some of you might be a lake and you're going to cross that with a canoe. But you don't then go, I am a canoeist. I will always canoe. Because other parts of your wilderness might be a mountain and you're going to climb it. And actually, the canoe will be very unhelpful to you there. So, you have all of this variety. You have all of these wonderful attributes and characteristics. And depending on how the environment changes around you too, you'll want to explore different elements of you. Because maybe when there's a storm, maybe you don't want to be in your favorite part of you. Maybe the part of you is a beach, but there's a typhoon happening in your life, so you may retreat to a different part of you, and that's okay too, because that's what's going to work best for you and give you shelter in an experience that's very difficult. So explore, enjoy exploring you and discovering you. Hmm. Granite said, I'm afraid somebody might be falling in love with me. You poor, the horrible things that are happening to you. So the fear is that I might cause harm to the person because I will refuse her. But I know this is just an uncertainty. Okay, that's great. Any advice? Yeah, I mean, you can give people trust and give people the opportunity to have experiences. You don't have to control their experiences in life. And it can be wonderful if somebody appreciates you and falls in love with you. I mean, that's fine. You can also be yourself and set boundaries and do the things you want to do. You don't have to control them or like make them dislike you because then it's going to be easier on them or something like that. No, you can have a great time with them and still not want to date them or be in a relationship with them. You can also say, "Hey, I don't want to pursue this anymore," uh, and that's fine. And yeah, they might be hurt, and that's okay. We can hurt people. That'll happen on our journeys. Yeah, and you can handle that, and they can handle that. And handling that won't be. That doesn't mean it's gonna be easy or good or feel comfortable. Hmm. I'm sorry. I'm sorry you've had to experience the great difficulty of somebody loving you. I hope you overcome this challenge. The J Cool Band Archives said, if I say something and offend someone, I start plotting apologies in a loop. It feels right, as it feels one is supposed to feel bad and apologize. Is there a better way to handle such situations? Yeah, this you can kind of see is related to what we were just talking about. So yeah, we get into this pattern, this transactional pattern of feeling like, oh, I've got to make up for this bad thing I've done. One of the things that really helped me is recognizing. So one, yeah, recognizing it's just a compulsion, but also that there's never any making up for anything I've done. So what I want to start to look at is how do I give things I want to give proactively. So if I see that I've hurt somebody, that's useful information. And so yeah, like that hurt can be there. That guilt, it can be there. And next time, I've learned that okay, maybe that wasn't what I want to give. What do I want to give next time in a different situation? Because yeah, next time I can give something different. But yeah, there's absolutely nothing I can do in the present to change the pain or hurt that I just created. Raccoon, yeah, you say if security is one of my values, how to do recovery. It really helps to explore values in a way that's much more specific. So I was like security, like that's just gonna like you somebody could lock themselves in their home and cover themselves in like antiseptic, antibacterial wipes and be like, multiple padlocks on the door, just be like, I am secure. This is what I value. So yeah, I would really watch out for setting a value like that. Like it's easily going to turn into nonstop compulsions. So being much more action oriented can help. Like having values that it really helped me, especially at first, to only have values that were specific actions. Like I'm identifying things I do, and so it can't be a term like security because it doesn't tell me what I'm gonna do. It had to be an action. Extermination. Yeah, you asked how do I like the everything ends t-shirt? Yeah. Or sweatshirt. Yeah, you can see here. This is the everything ends t-shirt illustrated by one of our wonderful community members. So yeah, extermination said it's on the way. So I would have so far with sizing, everything has been pretty spot on. But for me, this fits small or smaller. So I got a large. I should have got an extra large. It just ends up being a little short at the bottom, and also I can feel it. Like uh, it's I can tell it's small. Like it's just a little smaller than I'd like it. So yeah, see when you get it. If you want to go a size up than what you got, just let me know and we'll sort that out. Because yeah, it might for me. I like it. Like it turned out great. But yeah, if I had known, I would have gotten slightly larger. So it works okay for like wearing it on screen. But if I stood up and was walking around with it, you'd be like, oh, it looks it looks like that man stole like a child's sweatshirt and put it on. Jorge, yeah. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, and when you sit there, yeah, just got to keep practicing because my mind keeps bringing itself back to thoughts that pop up. And so starting to see, like I was talking there with Graham, how does it bring you back? How does it suck you back in? 'Cause it helped me so much to start looking at that because often that's where we see either unhelpful beliefs or we start looking at how we practice judgments and things like that. So just asking like, oh, how does this suck me back in? uh, we often see really useful stuff in there. Oh yeah, Graham, you're welcome. We hear baby. So I see you asked about guilt and staring. Can you be do you more specifically like a question you want to ask there? Like part of it is just starting to look at the compulsions you're doing around staring and doing different things. Like I had lots of compulsions around oh like did I look at something, oh I shouldn't have looked at that, and all of those kinds of things. But it's so one of the things I would say is it'd be very when someone's running into that compulsion, there's always lots of other compulsions too. So really consider that. There's probably lots of other compulsions around the fear of what other people are going to think about you, and they've also got to go too. Yeah, Taj just brought up a really important point. So I think what a lot of people have to understand is that you have to drop the effort. When you put energy into not wanting to have intrusive thoughts and feelings, they stick around longer. They would pass if you just let them. Yeah, it's so important to recognize. The brain thinks it's trying to help you. When you go, oh, I want to get rid of intrusive thoughts, the brain's like, okay, I will go find intrusive thoughts so you can solve them. And then yeah, if we're solve a thought and we're like, oh, that's so good, I solved it, it's not around anymore. Brain goes, oh yeah, you like that. I want to help you do things you like. Okay, I will find you something more difficult so that when you solve that, you're gonna feel even better. And so, like I was talking about before, the two parts of the cookie. If you like getting rid of brain stuff, you're teaching your brain to give you worse brain stuff. Just like any addiction, if you hate the withdrawal and you go and fix it, you just get more withdrawal. And so much of this work is about just stepping away from it. It's not a thing I have to go and fix. I have no interest in fixing it. Yash said, I want to be productive in life, but it didn't happen. It's right there. So productivity is a thing we do. It is not a thing that happens. Yeah, Raju, you said, I get frustrated by some thoughts and try to stop them. And they increase. Yes, that is how they go. I just leave them alone and they stop coming. Oh, why this happens? Yeah, no, exactly. Like we were just describing there. Like you've learned the brain is only throwing up the thoughts if we like want to play with them. The brain is trying to help us get a thing we're chasing. So if we want to chase getting rid of thoughts, then we make thoughts necessary. So the way out of the battle is to leave the battle. As long as you want to stay on the battlefield to win, you're going to lose. So, yeah, why do I'll try to capture what you just said there. Um, yeah, she said if I try to stop thoughts, they increase, but if I leave them alone, they stop coming. Why? I call this brain physics. So yeah, like this is how a brain works. Brain physics. This is how brains work. As long as you want, as long as you judge thoughts as a problem and want to defeat them, you make them necessary. The brain will give you more and worse things to solve because you want to feel good about solving them. So you gotta walk away. The brain's only trying to help you. Because again, like I was talking earlier about control. If we want to control this stuff, we've gotta have it. And it just creates more and more and more problems. Dallas said, I've been worried for the past 7 years that I'm gonna lose my job and not find another one, and then catastrophizing. As I get older, no matter the skills I gain, I feel I won't find another job. I love to solve problems. My brain has decided to give me a problem I can't solve, uncertainty. I feel that if I don't worry and keep relentlessly building skills, I'll fail my family. You can see there that there's a thing you really care about. And if we get in our heads that, okay, well, I've gotta control this job, or it's going to, destroy this thing I care about, my family. I'm going to fail my family and things like that. Yeah, the brain is just going to keep on trying to help you protect that. So the exercise, the happiness and isolation exercise that I posted above, I don't know if you're here for that. You go back up. I referenced it, but it's for a video on my YouTube channel. So I would check out that because that's about an exercise to start to accept the thing we're most terrified of. So yeah, if we're terrified of losing our job, let's go there. Let's say, okay, I'm going to lose my job. I'm going to fail my family. How do I start giving myself trust to handle that? Because actually obsessing about it and trying to control it can take us away from the things we care about. Brains love irony. So if we're anxious, and this is the kind of thing that always happens, right? If we're anxious about failing our families, if we lose our job, then we might give so much time and energy to the job and like learning new skills that we miss out on spending time with our families. Just the thing we really care about the most. And so it might actually be about, spending more time with your family. and not chasing around the uncertainty. But yeah, giving yourself that trust, being able to say, "Hey, no, I trust myself. If I lose this job, I trust myself to handle things, and I trust myself to care for my family. And here are the actions I'm doing to care for my family." Brains are kind of like guard dogs. And yeah, we may get annoyed by the barking, but they are just trying to protect us. They are just trying to protect things that we care about. And so it is sometimes about giving that kindness and that thanks to the brain. And like, oh, thank you for barking at that scary thing, but I've got this. It's okay. You don't have to keep barking about it. Um, I mean, give them a hug. Rithvik, I have a follow up question. I absolutely love movies, uh, but I forget everything while I watch them. Oh no, you said like I forget everything while I watch them. So forgetting like the rest of life. How can I label them as bad? So why would you label them as bad? Yeah, if you enjoy movies, and you said like, you forget everything while watching them, but that just sounds like being present with the movie. If I'm watching a movie, I want to watch a movie. I don't want to bring my phone or be thinking about other things while I'm watching a movie. If I'm watching a movie, I'm watching a movie. Erica, welcome. Raccoon, yes. How to do problem solving when we have OCD? I mean, when doing recovery work. Can you explain what you mean there, Raccoon? I'm not sure. Um, Maybe if you can give an example of what you mean. WW, thank you. Oh, I would not remove a cactus from Mexico. I feel like the cactus should stay in Mexico. But I hope your garden is doing well. Bagel, bagel, bagel shared something here saying to Dallas, I have a father that has failed his family, including me, many times. I still love him and include him in my life. It makes it very difficult to do things with him, plan visits when the focus was or has been on his failures. So I like focusing on what we can do together. Yeah, bagel, bagel. Thanks for sharing that. Raju, any plans? So you asked any plans of coming to India for a meetup? Or I would love to. I don't know if you've heard, but there is a pandemic happening in the world. So even if I was in India right now, it would not be a good idea to have a meetup in person. So right now we do things online so we can come together. It is much easier too because if we meet online, then you don't have to like navigate traffic for the day, and we can get together from so many different countries in one moment. So for now, we'll do online things. So we hear baby. You're following up on the staring guilt compulsions. You're saying that it's thoughts about like what if people what will people think of me, and what if people actually start thinking once they catch on that I'm staring, and things like that. Yeah, so I would the question I would have at that point, like if somebody brought this up in a coaching session or something, I would actually have a lot of questions for you about how you interact with social anxiety and fears about other people, and where your relationships are at, your friendships, etc. So I would take a step back and not just see this as isolated. Um, that usually comes as part of a larger system we want to look at around how you're trying to control what other people think about you, and where your relationships and things like that are at. So I'd start looking there. Alice, welcome. Hello. Herrera. So is it simply a false belief when I feel everyone recovering from OCD has more willpower than me? I feel like I'm losing to the addiction. The don't do the compulsions seems easier for other. Yes, it is a false belief because I actually find it's not about willpower. It's about like letting things be easy. Because when people are struggling, OCD is all about hard work and control, and like you're doing all of this extra work for the brain. And cutting out compulsions is really about the brain throwing up something and us saying, I'm too lazy today to do that. The brain being like, go think about this. And you're like, I don't want to think about that. So actually starting to look at like you're actually doing all of this extra hard work. Recovery is going to be about not doing all of that extra work. Like it's phenomenal when you. I have so much more time and energy in my life because I would just spend all of my time in the past doing compulsions. Even if I was doing work, I was doing like mental compulsions the whole time, and I just thought that was normal. So I was never only ever doing one thing. That is exhausting, and we don't even realize it because we just get used to it. We just get used to doing everything at the last minute or being really stressed or like doing 50 million different things at once, and that's so much work. So let it be easy. Yeah, it's not. I'd say actually like starting to see that doing the compulsions is the willpower because you're choosing to do things that don't make sense for where you are in the present moment. You're choosing to time travel. That takes incredible willpower. It's much easier and more relaxing and lazier to just be in the present. So enjoy doing less. So even like that's something to think about when people approach recovery and seeing that like if you approach recovery as this thing you're going to stick on top of all this other work you're doing, it's not. It's just going to become a compulsion. Like I'm a problem and I've got to fix me. So not approaching it that way. It's actually just about undoing all of this extra hard work that we're always doing. Rocky Fighter. Is unconditional acceptance the key to recovery? Which is better therapy, REBT or ACT therapy? No, I would actually. It's really helpful to see like questions like that are just like more of the compulsions, right? And even like trying to approach mental health is just like there is a key and there is a like a better like like that somehow types of therapy are competing or something like that. But it's much more useful to approach mental health like physical fitness. Like and that the person who goes into the gym and is like has this like very rigid and like you've got to do it this way and like this is the key and like oh this exercise is better than that exercise. Like you kind of know they don't know what they're talking about because the reality is everybody is going to put together a set of skills that are going to make sense for the experiences they have inside them and around them. And yeah, what the set of tools that works well for one person may not work well for another person because of just a variety factors in their life, but also how they apply them. And that's a big part of any of these skills because the person actually has to apply them. So one person, because that's why you can say like, oh, well, this type of therapy is better than that because therapy isn't something that happens to you. You have to actually, cut out the compulsions, make the changes in how you interact with uncertainty, emotions, thoughts, physical sensations, etc. So whichever format and structure of workout is going to help you do that, that's going to be useful. But you actually want to look at what is actually helping you make changes. Because, yeah, you have to make the changes. So, whichever one is actually going to get you to do the work, that's great. It's about you doing the work. And that's why, like, when someone says, like, what's the key to recovery, that's usually like somebody going like, oh, like, what's the key, like, what's what's the right protein powder that's going to turn me into a bodybuilder, and they're like looking for a thing that's magically going to do the work. Like, oh, I don't want to work out, so like, just tell me what's the key supplement that's going to change everything. And yeah, no, I'm sure you might use some supplements, but it's going to be how you work out and you actually working out and making changes. Although cricket protein, it's where it's at. Oh, Dallas, thank you. Oh, I appreciate the support. I'm glad you've enjoyed the videos and the book. Gradually, yeah. The maybe we'll have a book on the brain physics someday. It'll have to have like really great graphs. See, we got the brain. Oh no, bagel, bagel, bagel! It hid your comments about burning your house down. YouTube was like, oh no, that's dangerous. I hope your house recovers well. KCP. So he said, I want to have feelings, but I'm often not aware of what I'm feeling. Strong emotions feel buried or stuck in me like an iceberg. How do I have feelings when I'm clueless about what I'm feeling? No, and that's totally okay. It really helped me to see that I was wrong about kind of. I approached this thing. I was wrong about emotions. I part of starting to work on my mental health was just starting to recognize that not only had I made all these unhelpful connections with emotions, but also I was wrong about how I was interpreting the emotions. And it helped to start from scratch and actually start from a place of just being curious about emotions and saying, you know what, maybe I don't know anything about emotions. So let's just explore them. Let's just explore emotions. Let's explore them from scratch. Let's say, you know what, I don't know anything about them and I want to be curious about them. I want to learn about them. And I also don't have to have them be there. So it really helped to start having that focus on actions. Right. I define mental health as the practice of being ourselves while having any thought or feeling. So there's no necessity for me to know what the feeling is, or to have a right feeling, or to understand deep feelings, or to have any feeling at all, whatever. I want to explore doing actions, and if feelings happen to come up, that's fine. If physical feelings are there too, that's also fine. And I want to start to learn about them. So actually where you're at is a great place to be. It's so wonderful actually to start to kind of park a lot of the beliefs, or kind of put them on hold, the beliefs that we have about emotions. Say, hey, why don't we just start over and see what that's like? We can really bring that beginner's mind to emotions. Because I don't know about you, but nobody gave me a user's instruction manual on how to detect and interpret emotions. It did not come with my brain when I got it from the store. I don't know if they forgot to package the instruction manual in there, but also nobody taught us about that. At least nobody taught me about that. So it was really useful to just notice, oh, I've learned all sorts of things about emotions that are probably wrong. So let's start learning from scratch. WW. Yeah. It's okay. It's okay if the garden's not too spiky. Brains are often really spiky. Isabel. Yeah, I said I don't want to spend Christmas with my parents. I feel like I will spend it thinking we will all get COVID. How to decide or not engage. It feels real. So first of all, yeah, you see it's it really helps to see everything is real. A fear is real. A real fear is a real fear. So getting into that, oh, like, is it real? Is it irrational? Is it OCD? I find not helpful. It's yeah, any fear is a real fear. Any anxiety is a real anxiety. And yeah, you get to decide what you want to do. Yeah, there's gonna be uncertainty. There's not, especially right now. There's not going to be some kind of certainty or security about what could happen. And so we make decisions and we take a step forward and we give ourselves trust to handle that. And yeah, we give what we want to give. And so that might mean, taking a step back and saying, oh, okay, well, actually, here's the thing I could do. I'm not going to do that. I know there's like a larger family gathering that extended family is happening. I was like, oh, it's just not like a necessary thing I have to go and do. So yeah, it's not a thing I'm gonna do. It's not even about like controlling some fear or something like that. Yeah, just say, you know what, that's not. We don't need to be doing that right now. So I'm not gonna go. But yeah, there's a smaller family thing. I'm gonna go to that. And yeah, who knows? I could infect everybody with Ebola. Forget COVID. People aren't worrying enough about Ebola. Remember when Ebola was scary? Alice said, how to practice having good mental health and not going back to normal when a lot of things around us in our society lead to mental health struggles. There are so many shoulds in our life. Yep. And so much of the mental health practice is about setting boundaries and being able to notice that, to step into that and notice everything moving in one direction and say, no, actually, I'm going to go in this direction. And it can feel wrong. But so much of the work is about that, stepping into that uncertainty. Just like we feel the brain pushing us into compulsions all the time. Like, it always felt to me like the brain's trying to either push me or pull me. And so much of the work is starting to notice that with our brains, but also with society. So when you notice society, your community, your family members, etc., pushing you in one direction, you're like, that's not the direction I want to go, and I don't think that's good for us to go. Yeah, you can go in a different direction, and so much of that is what the work is about. Because when we get caught up and just carried along, we can so often lose ourselves. Ursa. So why is it so easy to cut compulsions from random obsessions, but so hard to cut compulsions I've been doing many years? Yeah, because compulsions are practices. You could look at them as skills. So yeah, if you've been doing it for many years, then it's like unlearning a reflex, right? The brain has just learned. Just like if we played volleyball for many years and then we started playing soccer, football, uh, we would probably, a ball would come towards us and we'd stick out our hand because the brain's still thinking we were playing volleyball. And yeah, we've just got to unlearn it. Said also, is anxiety necessary when cutting compulsions? No. You said, yeah, for me, it's just not feeling clean, right? No. Yeah, it can really help to start to just, well, one, see that no feeling is necessary at all. In fact, a lot of compulsions we like. So, yeah, getting stuck on the anxiety thing. Anxiety is just a feeling that the brain can use to get us to do compulsions, and it's one we react to very easily. But it could be anything. It could be a physical discomfort. It could be, like you said, that just the feeling that things aren't right, that things aren't clean. The brain will use whatever gets us to do compulsions, but that's why also it can use things we like, where it'll be like, oh yeah, like I really want that, right? Lots of compulsions are about chasing a feeling we want. Yeah. So yeah, no, the watch out for getting caught up in, because you'll even see that sometimes on different forums and stuff. Like people say, "Oh, it's a compulsion because there's anxiety or something like that." Bullshit. Keep the focus on actions, because then we can tackle the compulsions that we recognize as compulsions, but also the compulsions that we like. They both got to go. So Rithvik, you said, yeah, movies are awesome, but they're this is going back to before you were talking about movies. Said movies are awesome, but they are the best way I know how to be present. Okay, but I want to do more work related to my field, like learn skills, and watching movies gets in the way of that. Okay, well, but there you see. So then, yeah, do more of the skill building. The yeah, like I was saying, like compulsions can be things we like too. So it's about looking because absolutely, I could spend I don't know all day eating donuts. But like sometimes I have to stop eating donuts so we can do a live session or something like that. So it's about making those choices. Ah, raccoon. So earlier, I'd ask what you meant about solving problems, and here you're explaining. Said, I mean, to cut out compulsions is to stop solving the thoughts. But in life, sometimes there's a problem that should be solved, but it's not a good exercise for OCD recovery. What do I think about this? No, this is why it's the second half of my book is about building a new engine for life that's not about reactively solving problems. It's about creating good things. And so what you're touching on here is really useful to notice. There's this flip we need to make. So in the past, we were very reactive. We wait for the brain to bring up the problem. We wait for the world to bring up a problem. Maybe we procrastinate on things we've got to do so they become a problem so that now we're going to do them. Right? We're always waiting for the fear and the pressure to make us do stuff. Now we want to switch to doing things proactively. So we're no longer waiting for a problem. We no longer fuel life with fear and anxiety. It's about identifying things we value and doing things well. And so, likewise, yeah, there's going to be problems in life. Sure. Uh, it's still about looking at how do I do a thing well here? What am I going to create and build? And if we keep seeing that problem coming up, we want to say, okay, well, how do I start to get more proactive with this? Because I don't always want to be waiting for a problem. So this is what I describe as the shift from getting to giving. From getting to giving. So the old way of doing things was very passive and reactive, waiting for fear, anxiety, stress, pressure, etc., to fuel action. Now we're going to do things proactively, fueled by values. So it's about building and creating and giving. So that is the big shift. So actually, it is about starting to see how we interact with things differently. And yeah, there's still going to be problems that come up, of course. And so yeah, we stop and we say, okay, what do I really value in this situation? What do I want to grow and build? Because if we react to problems in a way that's very reactive and controlling, that's often where we end up creating even worse problems. Because all we were doing was trying to avoid fear as opposed to actually do something well. So yeah, it's the big shift. Like I always say, the avoiding drowning, you could say that you've solved a problem. I avoided drowning. I didn't drown. Okay, but do you know how to swim? So learning how to swim is actually not only going to solve your problem, but it's also going to enable you to go places in life, to do more of something. And so that's the shift we've got to make. Because if we're only focused on drowning, we might just, yeah, like, why not just live in a cage the rest of our lives and never go near the water? Problem solved. But we may not actually find that's a good solution. Yeah, as Squidge said, that's where values come in handy. Erica said, a kind friend, oh, that's nice to have kind friends, pointed out to me recently that I really romanticize the past and the future. I remember the past is better than it was, and I idealize the future. How can I stop comparing and pining I like that you put pining and stars. You know what? I find so much of it is just starting to notice this. And this was actually part of what, I was talking earlier about. I had to learn that I was just wrong about emotions. But is this kind of thing where you just start to notice, oh, so I always tell myself that the past is really good, and I always think the future is going to be really terrible. Okay, well, what if I'm just wrong about that? And so just having that awareness, we just start to notice it. The brain goes, oh, yeah, this amazing thing happened in the past. And we can say, okay, well, maybe it wasn't like that. And then we see the brain going, oh, this horrible thing is going to happen. You're going to say, okay, but brain, I know you always do that. I can actually go into the future and do things differently. It doesn't have to be like that. And so, yeah, part of it I find is just that awareness. Like you just learn. Oh, okay, like this is a thing my brain does. You've seen it, and now I don't have to get caught up in it. It's just a thing I expected to do. It's kind of like starting to see that the brain guard dog, it it barks about things that aren't scary. So now you know, okay, if I hear it barking, it's fine. But then if you if it's quiet, you're like, oh, the dog is quiet. That actually means there's a problem. And then you go and find out what the problem is. So it's just starting to learn that. Neon purple. Thank you for wanting to ask a question. We just answer them. It's the psychic skills. Everybody knows, right? You get psychic skills once you recover, right? It comes along with the levitating. That's not true for anybody who was wondering. That's not actually true. Oh, Morera, you're welcome. Thank you for joining us today. And let's see what else we got going on here. I hope everyone's staying warm while we're out winter camping. Winter camping is a good time. Oh, Isabel, you've got mist outside. You can go misty winter camping. Yeah, hello, hello. So sometimes I will judge someone on reflex, feel bad for judging, and I'll think I should practice non-judgment. I'm doing recovery wrong, and then be tempted to do more compulsions. It's usually you see it, right? That is really helpful to see. Those like the judgments about the judgments, feel more compulsions, which we judge. Yeah, and that at first just starting to see it, and then we start to dismantle it in that very kind way. We start to notice that these are things that we do, and then we can practice not doing them. Hello, hello. He's saying it's so tricky to avoid turning the good mental health I've been practicing into compulsions. Even after months of happiness, I can suddenly go way off the path. Yeah, it's something that was so helpful for me, and you're getting at it here. I'll put this up here. It was so important to make compulsions okay because it's paradoxically it helped me stop doing them. So we'll put this in bold. Paradoxically, it was a huge help for cutting out compulsions to make compulsions okay. Because we do so many more compulsions when we judge the compulsions. And then it seems because brains have this wonderful self sabotaging streak. So, of course, if we're going to do compulsions, if we're going to do more compulsions, if we do a compulsion, then it seems to be that we will do more compulsions. And the brain is going to trick us into doing them because it learns, hey, if I get you to do one compulsion, I know you're going to hate on it, and then you're going to do all these other compulsions. So if we start making compulsions okay, we remove the possibility for that self-sabotaging streak. But it feels terrifying at first because we think, oh, but like, if I make compulsions okay, I won't recover, and so on. But that's when we bring it back to that idea of doing things well. When I went into the kitchen this morning to eat my breakfast bagel, I did not have to think, okay, don't hit yourself in the face with a frying pan. Don't hit yourself in the face with a frying pan. We're not doing compulsions. We're not hitting ourselves in the face with a frying pan. Woo. Good thing I told myself that, or else I would have done it. All right, we got to start to see that actually the compulsions are just ridiculous things we don't do because we're doing other things that we want to do in life. Yeah, they're just things we don't do. If there's fear around it, we're like, oh, I've gotta not do the compulsions because if I do a compulsion, I'll never recover and my life will be stuck here forever. Then we're gonna do the compulsions. In fact, we're already doing the compulsions because we're spending time and energy on that. Yeah, so making it okay, and so like learning how to lightly step back on the path is so useful. Morera said, I tend to avoid people sometimes because I always want to get reassurance. I feel it's a success when I do hang out with them and let the urge be there without letting in, but it's uncomfortable. Yeah, but that's great. Yeah, like going to the gym is uncomfortable. I did a workout last night where I had a weight vest on and I had kettlebells and I was doing jumping squats and it was very uncomfortable. Like it got to the point where I couldn't jump, but I would see that as good, right? Like we can talk about it and be like, yeah, good workout. And we got to take the same approach with mental health. Like, of course, it's going to be uncomfortable, but that's not a bad thing. Like that's just natural. Just like with physical fitness, most good workouts are pretty uncomfortable. And you're like, oh, I was all sweaty afterwards. It was great. Yeah. And so hello, hello. Yeah, Squidge had a great point there. Yeah, just like not beating ourselves up and learning how to return to that path in this moment, and also seeing what I else find is really important there because sometimes we get very transactional. Like, oh, I went way off the path, so now I have to go way hardcore on the path. I'm gonna, last week was all compulsion, so this week I'm gonna meditate for 8 hours a day, and just seeing that's also the compulsion, right? We're in that very transactional, like, oh, I did a bad thing, and I've got to make up for it now and not getting caught up in that. No, it's like there's no thing I'm doing in the present to fix kind of this thing I judge as bad in the past. It's just in this moment, how do I want to spend my time and energy? It has nothing to do with controlling anything in the past. So we just, yeah, step lightly back on the path. In this moment, we can always be there. Let's be there right now. And that's all there is to it. And we take a step forward. Yeah, Troy said you said nowadays when I have intrusive thoughts or bad memories, I spend very little time worrying about them. I see it as giving my mental health a workout. Yeah, Troy, great job there. It totally is. C, he said, how do you deal with the uncertainty about moving countries, like the ruminating about making the right choice? So I'm about to move countries. So there are a couple things I would look at. So you're I laugh because I'm about to I was about to say, well, you just pick the country with the best food, but so many countries have great food, so it's very difficult. The how do you handle uncertainty about making decisions? So I'll just change it up here a bit because I find uncertainty about making decisions is a topic that comes up a lot. It's so useful for everybody to look at how do we make decisions in a healthier way. So even an example I often give people is even just buying a cell phone. Like if you feel, oh, I'm gonna have it for a long time, I've got to make the right decision. You spend lots of hours on it. Often we'll see that as like good, but actually we're just teaching the brain that we should obsess about making decisions, and then so it's going to do it in other areas as well too. So it really helps to decide how you'll decide before you sit down to decide. And that's about coming up with a set of values. That's about identifying a set of values that are most important to you. So actually, I would say values slash criteria. Some of these you might actually just say are criteria, like characteristics of the place you're going to or characteristics of your phone. But I would start by looking at values. So, for example, I use cell phones to record videos. I don't, probably like a lot of people, I don't actually use them to call anybody. I mean, it's not the 1990s. So because I value using it to create mental health tools and things like that, the thing that's most important to me is the camera. And also probably audio is another component I look at there. But so the value or criteria, so based on the value of making content for other people, the criteria I'm looking for, number one, is going to be the best camera. So if I'm sitting down, that's going to be the characteristic I'll look for first to narrow down the field. And so likewise, when it comes to making decisions about a country, I would look at what's the thing I value. Okay, based on that, what's the criteria I'm looking for? And I always suggest people come up with three criteria. One is going to be the tiebreaker, the most important criteria, so that if you have a whole bunch of places that are the same, you're going to pick the one that meets that one criteria first. So you can have at least three criteria, and you identify those before you start exploring. And then, you find the places that are going to score the best on those criteria that you care about, that align with your values. And you trust in that. Because, there's going to be uncertainty. But we say, look, based on this thing I care about, this place looks like the best option. Who knows what could happen when I go there? All sorts of things could go wrong. But I'm going to trust in this criteria. That's where I'm going to go. So it might be best food, best donuts. Totally, totally fair game. That could be the thing you value the most. And by you, I mean me. Yeah. Isabel. Oh, you're welcome. Oh, yeah. Please, absolutely. I mean, Googling Ebola, totally not a compulsion. Take care of yourself over the holidays is because it's so natural right now that everybody's running into a lot of uncertainty, right? See, I'm reading through the discussion. Bagel, bagel, bagel says, be kind. Super, super smart. Raccoon. Yeah, you asked, do I know binaural beats? Yeah, I mean, I've heard of them. We're not friends, but maybe acquaintances. Yes, is that good for meditation? I don't know. Yeah, like it's as bagel said below, if you enjoy them, yeah. With meditation, it's just like with physical fitness. With meditation, it's useful to explore all sorts of different types of meditation. So absolutely, doing some sound meditations can be really just really great to learn about that practice or that skill around meditation, but also explore other ways of doing meditation. You're going to find types of meditation you can do around all of the senses. So, of course, you can do meditation practices. There's several around sounds. But you can also do physical sensations. You can do food. You can do sight, of course. You can listen. So, food is taste and so on. And of course, you can also do thought and emotion, right? You can focus in on a particular thought or, a question, like some types of Zen. So in the Rinzai school or tradition of Zen, they'll use a lot of koans. So phrases that have an answer that goes beyond words. And those can be fun for, lots of people explore those in their meditation practice too. Oh, Erica, thank you so much for the donation. I appreciate it. Thank you. I will have some hot chocolate. Uh, it will keep me warm as we are in cold and freezing times. So yeah, thank you so much for the support and the continued support. I really appreciate it. Marrera, he said, any advice on when I feel like I'm doing the wrong thing? Oh, if only we could have raccoon gifts that we could share here. Uh, because raccoons always do the wrong things. They steal happiness. And that's a great way to approach, yeah, doing the wrong thing. So he said here, yeah, I'll keep going. I got really excited about doing wrong things. I didn't read your whole question. So he said, any advice on when I feel like I'm doing the wrong thing? When I try to unwind and play a video game or watch a movie after I get my work done? Is this a compulsion? I think I don't deserve it. Yeah, so this is where we talk about stealing happiness. So it really helped me when working on this stuff. So if my brain's like, "Oh, you don't deserve this," to actually start to do it more. So the brain's like, "You don't deserve to like play video games." To like just really enjoy playing video games and stealing happiness. Because yes, again, we get very reactive to the brain. Ooh, I don't deserve this. So often a thing we explore is, yeah, how do I proactively? So if I decided, I'm going to get home from work, I'm going to do a thing that I'm just really going to enjoy, and deciding that's going to happen, going and doing it. The brain's going to say this is wrong. You shouldn't do it. You need to go and fix, like compensate for a bad thing you did today. But then to bring enjoyment to that, do the wrong thing, and to steal happiness. Because yeah, so often the brain is doing that. And then there is a video on my YouTube channel. I think it's titled "What If I Don't Deserve Happiness?" YouTube. I think "What If I Don't Deserve Happiness?" or "What If You Don't Deserve Happiness?" I can't remember the exact title on it, but yeah, I think if you go on my channel and look that up, you'll find it there. It's got a picture of a pug in the video thumbnail, and that's all about this topic. Yeah, like Bagel 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 said down below, feel the wrong feeling while doing the thing you value. Oh, Abhishek, thank you. I'm glad you found the video so useful. It is helpful, right, to start to see intrusive thoughts and things like that. It's just green monsters, and laugh at this stuff because it feels so extreme, and so on. But they are just these weird monsters. Yugal said, "How do I move forward? I feel overwhelmed and stuck. I solve one dilemma and another pops up." Yeah, so part of it could be seeing that the solving the dilemmas, it gets us stuck. So it really helped me to see that if my focus is on solving problems, they're like enemies on a battlefield. And so I'm going to defeat this enemy. But then as soon as I defeat that enemy, there's another enemy. And then, okay, now I've got to go and defeat that enemy. And so it just creates this cycle of defeating another enemy and then seeing another enemy and defeating another enemy. And what we've got to do is walk off the battlefield. And so that is how we make ourselves unstuck, is by really consciously and purposely being unstuck. Yeah. So yeah, I would say that, like, what would you do? So let's say no dilemmas to solve, etc. What would you like to be growing and building? And how do you want to take yourself in that direction? Like, what would just be one step to move in that direction, even if it's a small thing? And of course, the brain's going to be like, "No, you can't leave the battlefield. There's this enemy you've got to go and defeat." And it's going to be about saying, "No, I'm not. I'm going to go do this other thing." And then we just keep taking ourselves in that direction. Boris, welcome. You said you often talk about exercises related to deadlines. I find them helpful when it comes to short term tasks like writing and sending something only during the bus ride. Yep. But I have a tendency to fail every deadline in something big, like writing a long music piece. Sometimes it takes uh, time to set and reset the deadline many times before I can actually succeed. Can you share any tips about dealing with this kind of deadlines? Yeah, something that I find really helpful with this is turning it into small deadlines. And so, actually, even say working with a company or something like that, where they have a target for say a revenue figure they want to hit that year, or like a sales number or something like that. It's really helpful to turn that target into a set of actions that happens today. So what is the action I'm going to do today that's going to move me in a direction I want to go, but just seeing it as just a thing I'm going to do today. And it feels kind of scary because it feels like, oh no, I shouldn't I be focused on the big goal, but by just seeing it as a thing that needs to be accomplished today in whatever way that is, that's actually how we're going to hit it. So for that sales goal, for example, it might actually be saying, look, there is no far off sales goal. What we've decided is that the way to get there is by calling 20 people today. Or we decide, actually, you know what, the way to get there is by answering, like, our customers are really going to appreciate it if, when they have a problem with a thing, we immediately send a refund and a new version. And we're gonna do that across the board. So every time something comes up, boom, we send off the replacement pair of shoes or whatever. So this was something Zappos did, and then people really like it, and so they come back because they know, okay, even if I get a thing and I don't like it, it's going to be replaced instantly, and so it generates lots of repeat customers. But all they measure then is how many people did we like make really happy today, and they know that that's going to lead to the long term outcome. And so that's the thing we can do with anything. So even if there's a big project we have to finish by the end of the week, it's about seeing, okay, what are the actions I need to celebrate each day that at the end of the week, oh wow, the project is done. Or if it's like at the end of a month. So yeah, really breaking it down into just today. And really celebrating that, because yeah, when it's a big thing we're working on, we just don't seem to be very good at that. Human brains. Kevin, welcome. Yeah, bagel, bagel, bagel. So this new year is going to be the most New Yearest New Year. I'm going to make it more New Year than all the New Years before. I'm going to strive so much more than I did in New Years that are old years now. Oh, bagel, bagel. I hope you frame that and put that up somewhere. Absolutely. Extremely, extremely. Oh yeah, Kevin. Yeah, you're saying here what I'd said somewhere about anxiety being a contamination obsession has changed your whole perspective. Yeah. Oh no, you're welcome. It's so useful to see. It's yeah, the because any of these intrusive thoughts and stuff like that, and even just feelings around anxiety and stuff, when we're like, oh, this shouldn't be here. I've got to clean it off. Yeah, for anybody who's new to that concept, it's really helpful to see it that way. That we approach stuff in our heads as contamination. Neon purple said, when I do things for my partner or myself, or just in general, my brain comes up with, you aren't doing anything for your parents. But I'm doing for them too. But my brain says that's not enough. Now I can't do anything I used to do because when I do, it says you don't like them, you will regret it and stuff. Yeah, so part of it is identifying those actions that we're gonna do, and the brain can say whatever it wants. And I would expect the brain. If you make something good, the brain's gonna say it's bad. If you give something, the brain's gonna say you didn't give enough. That's just that's a thing the brain can do. So part of this is starting to put that distance between you and your brain, right? Like it really helped me to see the brain can say whatever it wants. It's no like it's fired. It's no longer relevant. So and I expect it to just go say anything. It has nothing to do with what I'm gonna do. And so that's where values come in really handy. And yeah, we see how we value sharing and caring for and supporting our families and ourselves and our partners, and then we do those actions. And yeah, the brain is just this annoying kid in the back seat, right? Who's gonna You're driving the kid to a dentist appointment. It's good for them, and they're gonna be like, "You hate me. You're a terrible babysitter. You're driving wrong. You went the wrong way." It's gonna say anything to get you to react. So just toss the brain in the back seat, and then take it wherever you want to go. Oh, Erica, I was just getting down to your message now that you shared with your donation. He said, "It's not an exaggeration to say that Discord server changed my life over the last year. Thank you. Coffee and donuts on me." Oh, Erica, I'm so glad. Thank you so much. I will have coffee and donuts on you. I will do that vigorously. I'm really glad that the mental fitness Discord server has been yeah, a helpful support on your journey. It's been so valuable to have you as part of the community, and sharing your experiences and your wisdom with people. So yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, and as Squids shares there, they're super happy to have met you on the Discord. Hmm. Morera said, "I felt I was better off when I was in denial about me having OCD because I worked on solving it less and lived life more. But there's no putting the toothpaste back in the tube now." Yeah, you know what though, Murat? Like I find it is helpful because yeah, like you're seeing there, we people can get caught up in, oh, there's this thing I've got to solve. So that's why I find it's useful to take an approach like physical fitness. Like we're not going into the gym all the time. Like, oh, today I've got to fix my like strength disorder. And if somebody was doing that, we'd recognize like that's not going to be helpful. It's so useful to say no. Like if I'm going to take care of my mental health and fitness now, that's a thing I do. Just like if I go to lift weights, I'm a weightlifter. Like I'm into weightlifting, not I have this strength disorder to solve. And so I find the way we've approached mental health as a society isn't that helpful. It's way more useful to look at skills we want to build and where we want to go and what we want to grow. So yeah, you can do that. There's no rules that say you have to like carry around this like OCD thing. You can be done with it. Like when people talk about wanting to work on recovery, I always say just be recovered now. Like it's done. Because getting caught up in chasing that is just fuel for compulsions. So yeah, there's no problem to solve. But now you can build skills, and you can always build skills. And that's a great thing. So enjoy enjoy building skills. Oh, a phone funeral. Enjoy giving your phone a funeral. I mean, they can be useful sometimes. Oh yeah, important. I had a whole wheat bagel this morning. I'm curious. Yeah, Squidge asked bagel, bagel, bagel. What's the best bagel? What's their favorite bagel? Let us find out. And they have explained. It's the everything bagel with tofuti cream cheese, fresh picked garden tomatoes and chives, a crack of black and red pepper. Oh, this is the most gourmet, delicious bagel. This should be on MasterChef The Professionals. I look forward to like, having a bagel like that. What is tofuti cream cheese? Is that because that's the vegan cream cheese? Is that what that is? Like it's made out of tofu? That's interesting. I've never had that. But I can see how that'd be creamy. I've had tofu desserts before that I really like because tofu has such a great texture to it. Oh yeah, Erica's into it too. STC said, I get anxiety from things I love doing. The feelings of anxiety become dominant over enjoyment. How can I overcome it? So it's really natural that we get anxious around things we like doing, especially. So you might like I would have a bunch of questions around that. One of the things I look at here is: are you afraid of it getting messed up? Are you afraid of losing it? Are you afraid of not feeling a particular feeling around it, like enjoyment? And because those tend to be patterns of compulsions that we practice lots of other places. And then if we're practicing them in lots of other places, then they grow and they start to the brain wants to practice them everywhere. Because the brain says, hey, you really want to protect things you care about and not lose feelings. What if you lose the feeling of enjoyment here? And then we get anxious about it. And of course, we're just anxious while we do the thing we enjoy. So yeah, I would take this. This is a great moment to look at these kind of compulsive patterns, and then starting to explore doing things differently. So around enjoyment, it really helped me to start to see enjoyment as a set of actions, not as a feeling. And it's useful to learn how to practice enjoyment while having feelings we dislike. So starting to see that anxiety can be there and that doesn't have to affect enjoyment. If we've built up a lot of equations where we think, oh, I can't enjoy things if I have a bad feeling or if I have a bad thought, those are the kind of equations we want to start to break. So yeah, I know I'm just giving you a lot of work actually. There's more stuff to explore there, to see how you could start to unwind kind of the compulsions and maybe some unhelpful beliefs and judgments around feelings. Oh, Andrea, a donation with a coffee as well. Oh, thank you so much. I will. I will have coffee. I appreciate it. Thank you for the support and being here today. Sonics Forever. I hope you're enjoying, yeah, enjoying the Christmas lights. And so, continuing on STC on anxiety and enjoyment, Erica shared something here that's useful. Saying some of my favorite hobbies make me feel anxiety, and I love it. Reading, I worry about the characters, movies, the tension, roller coasters, hikes, going to new places, etc. Anxiety is great. Yeah, and that actually reminds me of what we were talking about earlier with emotions. So it really helped me around anxiety to start to consider that I was wrong about it. So like Erica mentioned roller coasters there. It really helped me to see that I would interpret any heightened emotion as anxiety and bad. And so yeah, if like even if I was in a relationship and things were going well, I would interpret that as bad because I'd be like, this is making me have feelings. Get away from it. So, yeah, like it's great Erica brought that up. It can also help to explore, like, yeah, maybe anxiety is not anxiety. Maybe it's yeah, the brain. That's how the brain's interpreting heightened emotion, like a rush. But yeah, maybe there's space for understanding that differently. Angela, yes, I became quite obsessive around healthy eating. And the way I try to combat that is by eating what I want, but that can take me to the other side of the spectrum, excuse me, quite easily, and so on. Any tips? Yeah, it really helped me to start looking at food as fuel for doing things I want to do. It helped me to look at the compulsions I was doing around food, right? Because we can do them in so many different ways. And yeah, just being open at first to having a different understanding. So there's often lots of unhelpful beliefs we've developed around food. For me, it was really helpful to work with a personal trainer who gave me a meal plan that was basically, it was super flexible. Like it wasn't actually about the things I ate. It was just about hitting particular like macros. So it didn't matter what I ate. It was just more about getting the fuel to reach my goals and do the things I wanted to do in the gym. And those goals had nothing to do with body weight or anything like that. They were about like lifting more. So it's like, okay, if I want to lift more, that's a direct result of energy. So how do we put energy into the body, and really approaching it that way? And that was useful for me because I would so easily get caught up in compulsions around food. So actually having a structure that was outside of my head was useful. And then it was a structure that wasn't, I must eat this or this thing is good and that thing is bad, etc. It wasn't about that. It was just like eat to fuel doing great things, and go to it. And then it was an opportunity as well. Something that really helped me was to take cooking classes, want to explore cooking, try different ways of cooking and things like that. So really also falling in love with food and being present with food and not seeing it as a ritual to control stuff. It was really about enjoyment and practicing mindfulness around food. Has continues to be such a wonderful exploration. So, yeah, Angela, I wish you much love and adventure as you explore food. Maria said, advice on how to approach my stack of self help books and videos I watch. I want to implement more and not rely on these as often. Is it having designated time for reading, watching videos, and then living life? Yeah, it comes. I always come back to that bias to action, and so cooking is always a great example I use with this. Like you could say, "Oh, I have this stack of cookbooks," or like, "I love watching cooking videos." But what I would ask is, "Are you cooking?" Um, Reading mental health books. I think there's an extra. Yeah, reading mental health books is like reading cookbooks. You can't eat a cookbook. You got to make food. And really taking that approach with mental health. Reading a mental health book, watching a mental health video, it's like it does nothing. It's got to be about the action and the application. And so I always encourage people to start to look at that. Like if if people have read my book already, and then they'll ask me like, oh, like what book should I read next? I'll often tell them to get a cookbook, like do something, because it's about doing the things we want to do in life, and that's going to and applying the skills we're learning. And so really directly connecting those together. And then as we try something, we're doing something else in life and we're like, oh, I don't know how to do this. Then we go and read about how to do it or watch a video on how to do it. But it's that taking that step forward, and then the videos and the books, they support it, as opposed to seeing the books and the videos as the focus. So that's how I would start to approach it. Go and do things. Find out what you don't know how to do. And that's okay. Be like, I don't know how to do this. And then you bring in the skills and the supports. And you're like, okay, now I know how to do this. Okay, let's go do more of it. And then again, you're going to find more things that you don't know how to do. And then the skills come in to support it. Yeah, so enjoy doing the things you like doing. Everyone, we're going to wrap up soon. I see we're coming up. Again, we're coming up on 2 hours. I had to do the math there. Oh, thank you so much for so many of you, joining in for. I know this is a period of time on your weekend, but I appreciate so much that we can come together from around the world and share about these skills and share these journeys that we're on. And I know there were some conversations happening in the chat, but I just want to say I saw how you all handled that, and I thought you just did such a great job and sharing such insightful wisdom and lessons. So I appreciate that. I saw what was going on there, and I appreciate you all for for just being you, but also for how you handle things like that. Yeah, it's so exciting to be I don't know, like working on this work that we work on with us all. That we are all working on these skills and exploring them and learning things that we can then share with each other that helps us all taking care of our mental health and moving ahead to go on adventures in life. So I really appreciate you all. Thank you. Ron said, I'm trying my best, but sometimes I wonder if I'm doing compulsions without even knowing. I guess I'm obsessing about if I'm doing ERP right or if I'm making myself worse. Should I not work it out? Yeah, so actually, cooking is a great example here too. When it comes to mental health, it really because yeah, otherwise you'll always be just like a contamination compulsion. Like, did I miss some contamination? How do I do things well? It really helps to shift the focus to how we do things well instead of chasing around the fear of doing something wrong. And that's what happens if we're like, oh, like what if I'm doing a compulsion? Because then we really the moment we've asked that, we are doing compulsions. There's a video on my channel called "Checking into Relapse." Uh, checking into relapse. So basically, by the moment you're like, oh no, what if I'm doing a wrong thing? I better fix it. Right? Just like any contamination compulsion. What if there is a toxic thing on me? It's going to ruin my life. I've got to find it and clean it off. So starting to see that's the compulsion the pattern that's going to run throughout so many things. So really starting to let go of that. Okay, yeah, maybe I am doing lots of compulsions. Fine, I'm going to relapse in the future. Fine. I'm going to build a great mental health practice and I'm going to build great supports in my life and I'm going to do the things that I really want to do. So, you know what? If I do relapse or create a horrible mental health disaster, I'm going to have the supports to handle that. I'm going to know how to step into that, be like, wow, this is a disaster I have created, and I'm going to know how to step out of it. So that's going to be my focus because if I'm just focused I put my life on hold because I'm like, I've got to make sure that nothing bad happens to it. I am creating the bad thing. I am actually destroying my life because I'm putting my life on hold. I'm not living my life. I'm causing the thing I'm afraid of because I'm afraid of something interfering in my life. Right? So don't be the thing that creates the disruption in your life. You can go and live. With that, everybody, I believe that brings us to the end. Yeah, Squidge, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your wisdom and insights as always. Angela, thank you. Oh, Herrera, yeah, thank you so much for joining the discussion today. Yeah, if you're on the Discord, look forward to seeing you there. If people don't have a Discord, I think I can grab one for you really quickly. If you're not on the Discord here, yeah, I've got the Discord open right here. I will quickly make an invitation link and throw it in the chat. Let's go Discord right here. Boom. There we go. Yeah, everybody, thank you so much for the donations today. I will put those towards coffee and donuts. You're guaranteed. I'm doing important research right now before I leave Toronto on which donut shop is the best. I already believe I know which one is the best, but then I was like, that's not proper research. I should go in because some people have told me other donut shops are the best, and I respect that they have opinions and wrong opinions, but I still feel it's important to do the research to find out which one really is the best. So I am trying different donuts right now. It is a wonderful, wonderful time. And I will continue. So thank you for your support in that. And I will see everybody. So, like I was saying, no stream next weekend. We should be back the weekend after. As it should, because I mean, the world could end before then. And if it does, we'll handle that well. So until then, thank you so much, everybody. It is always a pleasure. If you're doing pro skill things like hanging out with family over the holidays where you are, be kind to yourself. And yeah, I'll see you on the Discord server. I'll see you on social media. And for now, though, I'm going to go back to my winter camping tent. And I hope you're all going to have a cozy weekend. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for stopping by. It was a pleasure, as always.